This is the President McCormack Podcast with your host, Mark McCormack.
Ladies and gentlemen, the original Boots and Chaps, Kade Johnson.
How you doing? Glad to be here.
Kade, you're my cowboy buddy.
Yes, sir. That's what they say.
Why do they say that?
It's funny. They're like, when people introduce me, they're like, this is a true live cowboy. Like if it's not a real thing, I don't know, but it's all right.
Well, there's a couple posers out there, right?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, we went to Country Fan Fest last weekend.
You definitely go to Country Fan Fest or rodeos, and you can see posers and
like
not.
me.
So
yeah, I put a cowboy hat on it.
You made it look good.
Did you like that?
Yeah.
I got the black one, right? Because it's like
that works for sure.
Is there a ranking among cowboys, like what hat you wear?
So you wear a felt hat from Labor Day to Easter. Okay. And you wear a straw hat from Easter to Labor Day.
Is that just because of the heat?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know. That's cool.
Yeah. So straw hat's cooler in the summer.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that wear felt hats all year round. So
I think the more wealthy cowboy you get, right? The more felt you wear.
Oh yeah.
That kind of thing.
Because they do. You can get a hat worth, $600 easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not. I went to IFA.
Those work too for your rodeo weekends or your country fan fests.
The first time I bought it was actually I went to a poker tournament, and it was a themed poker tournament kind of night thing, and it was like billionaires. Oh no, it was Dirty Night in Vegas or something like that. Right?
Yeah.
It was like the theme of it.
Yeah.
So I bought this gold jacket and I had this like T-shirt underneath, and I put that cowboy hat on. I was a billionaire oil tycoon. That was kind of like my persona that night.
There you go. That's a good time.
It was kind of fun. Jimmy was there that night, and a couple other dudes we know.
It's funny. There's a lot of guys asking me this weekend, like, where do I get boots? Where do I get hats? This and that. So I think there was a few guys that went and bought some hats and boots and whatnot. So
where'd you tell them to go? Like, where's the head place to go?
IFA, or there's Smith and Edwards is a good one.
Is that all the way up? You gotta go all the way up to like Layton or something, right?
There's one up there, and then there's one off in 90th and Redwood.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
They just put
I always see the Smith and Edwards when I'm heading to Idaho.
Oh, the best store ever.
Oh, you love that place? There you go.
You can buy anything there. It's great.
So how long have you been cowboying? Whole life?
My whole life. Nice. Yeah. My grandpa had a big cattle ranch growing up, so grew up doing it, riding, breaking horses, moving cows. So he had a big ranch in Jackpot, Nevada, and then they sold, and he went to Glens Ferry, Idaho after that. So
cool.
My aunt and uncle had farms up there. So anyways.
I like that. So you just put on a rodeo for the We Are the They.
I did.
Event or Summerfest, I guess.
Yeah.
So
on Saturday.
Walk me through that, man. So I did not attend because I was broken.
Yeah.
And
I missed you there.
I should have came. It was stupid. Dude, I actually, there was 65% of me that wanted to ride a bull.
Really?
Yeah. Kinda.
There was other events you would have been awesome at.
Which ones else did you do? I saw the dirty milking or something like that.
Yeah, right? We did wild cow milking, which you could have done great at, holding the rope and it's a 3-man team. So one held the rope, one held the head, and one milked it. Fastest time. We had 6 teams out there. Yeah. And then we did shoot dogging, which is like steer wrestling or bulldogging, just standing on the ground without the horse. So you just grab the horns and flip them over, and fastest time. Most guys did flips forward or like somersaults because the steer dropped their heads, and they did a flip with the steer. I think there was more people that got hurt between those 2 events than the bull riding. Yeah. So then we did kid stuff. We did mutton busting. We did a cash cow, which money taped all over a cow. They ran out and grabbed the money off of it. We did a pig chase. So that was fun. And
did the kids get the pig?
If they wanted to keep it, one kid did keep it. So
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
what the hell is he going to do with the pig?
I don't know. Going to raise it and butcher it, I guess. That's what you do with pigs.
I can see my kids and me arguing about that. It's like, this is staying at Kade's house.
I am taking a pig home. Yeah. So, one parent was like, we are not taking that thing home. So I just kept it. And then what else? We did a hide race, which is on a horse. So you run down, the other person's on the other end of the arena. They jump on this hide that you're dragging behind a horse, and then you run back. So
gotcha.
I pulled Jonah. I called Jonah the night before, and I'm like, hey, can I pull you in the hide race? He's like, I don't know what that means, but I'm in.
Yeah.
So he did good.
Well, he won the bull riding too, right?
I think so.
Yeah, 4.7 seconds.
Yeah.
See, every time I hear that, I just go in a bull named Fu Manchu.
Yeah.
Right.
And these bulls, they're junior bulls, which are high school bulls, but they buck good. Yeah. One is a retired NFR bull, which is National Finals Rodeo. And it's funny, I think me and O.D. Miller, he's the guy that supplied the bulls. I think we were way more nervous than the guys getting on the bulls, just because we know what could happen. And just the night before, he got in a wreck. He still rides professionally. Oh, wow. And he got hit upside the head and concussed and all this stuff. So he's like, I know what can happen to these guys that have never crawled on. So it was good. Like, we sat down in front of the chute before they crawled on, and he just explained everything to them, went over everything. And then I had another buddy, Tyler Thomas, that he rode for years, and he pulled the rope, and then I balanced him, talked him through things, keep the bull from hitting him in the face, stuff like that. But they crawled on, and they did a hell of a job.
That's cool.
Yeah. It was an average between 2 and 4 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
you got to get 8 seconds to win the thing, right?
8 seconds is a qualified time without touching the bull. So your free hand can't touch the bull.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So you're strapped in with one, and then the other hand, even if you lean forward and touch it, it's in no time.
Oh, gotcha.
But
so is that one hand that's tied in? Is it tied in tight?
So there's 2 ways of tying it. You can tie it in, and then come over your hand and then wrap it around your hand and then through it again. So you're kind of tied in there pretty good. Yeah. The way we did it, we pulled it up tight. We put it through their hand and then brought it back through their hand. We didn't go around their hand. So if they let go, it will loosen up. Yeah. But it's a little more safe that way. But and we had bullfighters there and whatnot if they get hung up, they're there to protect them. So
get the guys going.
It was fun. It was good.
So what'd you have to do to put it together? I mean, where was the event actually at?
It was in Cedar Fort at the fairgrounds, out where I live. And I just had to find stock contractors. Zane Danzy, he's a stock contractor. He does a lot of high school rodeo stuff. He brought like the steers for shoot dogging and stuff like that. Then I had to go get the sheep from a guy up in Deweyville and pick up 30 sheep from him. And so you just basically lease them and lease them for the day, pick them up, drop them off. And then O.D. Miller, he brought the bulls down from Logan. And yeah, so he was there helping, which was great. So
did it work out pretty well? Was it stressful or?
I think I was more stressed before, but like once I got there and like I knew I had help because I had a bunch of buddies and their families come to help and whatnot, like it flowed good. It went fast. Like I was worried about time. I thought we'd be done at like 9:30, 10 o'clock, but we were done by 8:15. So we cruised through things pretty good.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So
yes, I mean every single person I talked to was like almost the highlight of the weekend, really.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
cool.
cool.
I like the Olympics thing. Like it was kind of fun. It's kind of fun to compete, you know, and we were kind of in it till the end. And we ended up, my team ended up taking second, I think, or whatever, right? But looking back, I think I would have actually skipped the Olympics and came to the rodeo. Yeah. Like 100%.
I think a lot of people came up and they're like, we've never been to a rodeo, but this was awesome. And then other people are like, this is better than going to a normal rodeo because we all got to participate in it, you know. Right. Our kids got to participate and our wives got to do some stuff. And like the hide race, a lot of the women did that and whatnot. So that was my goal, is just to have the whole family there to enjoy it and like have more freedom, right? To come and do and try things that they wouldn't normally be able to do. Yeah. So it was fun. I'd love to do it again.
So are we making it an annual thing?
I would love to. I think it'd be fun.
I think we need to.
Yeah.
If we don't do it in a while, we'll do it outside.
I wish there wasn't so many conflicting things, because I wanted to go to Country Fan Fest more nights, and I couldn't go to the Olympics because I was getting that ready and whatnot. So, but it is what it is. It's fine.
How many nights did you make out to Country Fan Fest?
Just one, just on Thursday.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I took the kids to the water park.
Friday.
Yeah, Friday, and then did that all day Saturday. So
I had to fit a little bit of work in during this weekend. So.
Right. I'm going to be gone all next week. So I was like, I got to get this done and go to work too.
Where are you off to next week?
We're going to California, family vacation. So
do some Disneyland, or are you just
with
going to go
April's
beach?
family. We're going to San Diego.
Oh, okay, cool.
So yeah.
You guys like going down there?
I've only been there once my whole life, so
there you go.
It's not really my cup of tea, but that's all right. It'll be fun.
Should feel pretty good. You're probably going to be in like the late 70s, early 80s down there.
I have no idea. I haven't even looked at the weather. Yeah. So
you're kind of like me. It's like
I'm just whatever works.
I'll deal with it.
We'll just go and enjoy it and spend time with the family.
So tell me a little bit about yourself, Kade, for the listeners out there, all your Watt brothers. And
oh boy,
all the other randos that listen. To
What do you want to know? Let's see.
So let's start. So we were just talking, you went to high school with one of my mission buddies.
Yeah, I went to Pleasant Grove High School.
So what happened after high school?
After high school.
Oh, hold on a second. You went to Pleasant Grove High School?
I did.
What the heck? I went to Lone Peak. We were rivals, kind of.
Yeah. So funny, my senior, what do they call that? Senior project.
Yeah.
I built the announcer's box at Lone Peak High School.
Oh, the press box.
On top of the dugout. Mm-hmm. I built that for my senior project.
How come you built it at Lone Peak?
Because my neighbor, my good buddy, he was the baseball coach out at Lone Peak. Mike Scholl.
Yeah.
So he's like, we got to do this project if you want to do that. So I went and did it out there at Lone Peak.
So did you have any friends over at Lone Peak?
Not really. No.
That's okay. There was actually 5 Cowboy guys.
His son, Cam Scholl, went out there, but I think he's a year older than us.
Oh, okay.
But
you graduated in 2000?
Uh-huh.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had 5 Cowboys that were in our school.
Yeah.
I think they're from Lehigh, though.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure they're from Lehigh. I loved them. Like 2 of them were in my pottery class or something like that, whatever bullcrap class you're in.
Yeah.
But they had these old Chevy trucks, that they were always doing shit to them,
Right.
Jacking them up or
they
doing whatever.
Always had trucks, huh?
Yeah, they all had gun racks. And so they'd always have like a 22 back there or something funny, and
yeah.
They'd get their life threatened if they ever pulled it out of their truck, from all the administration and shit.
Yeah. Cowboys, they kind of, back in the day, we kind of got made fun of and whatnot, but that's right. It's life.
It's kind of interesting because so PG, I bet there wasn't very many Cowboys at PG, right?
No.
A little bit more in Lone Peak.
Yeah. More in Lehigh.
You kind of have the Highland area, right? That's where I actually grew up in. I grew up in Highland, not Alpine. Yeah. And Highland had a lot of ranchers and farmers, and
right.
So it wasn't like wildly.
A lot more then than now.
Oh yeah, now it's a
now there's none.
Is there? I bet there's not even any, right?
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
So.
Lehigh was kind of like the elite Cowboy group.
Yeah, for sure. But so I went to high school there, then went to Utah State. Did a year there, and then went on a mission, LDS mission to Mexico. Came back and just went to work. I moved to St. George, went to work I lived in Utah State again, then went to St. George, lived down there, worked always in the construction stuff. Yeah. And then what else? Let's see. I started an insulation company, and in 2009, we kind of shut things down after it was slow for a little bit. I'd gotten married at the time and then divorced, and then moved to St. George again because I had a house down there. And then I came up here after that and started flipping houses. and just building custom homes and flipping houses and doing remodels and all kinds of stuff. And then I was in St. George at my sister's house, and I started to pee blood. I'm like, what's going on here? And well, it had been happening, and I was at my sister's, and it was like bad. And I'm like, me and her are really close, and I go out and I'm like, what do you think it means when you're peeing blood? And she's like, what? What's going on? So I showed her the toilet, and it was like bright red. Yeah. She's like, you need to go to the doctor, and just like adamant, right? And I'm like, I'm fine. I feel fine, whatnot. Anyways,
how old were you at the time?
I was 32. Yeah. And anyways, I came home. She made me a doctor's appointment, and I was living in Lehigh at the time. And anyways, going to the doctor and did all the tests or whatnot. And I did a CT scan and a scope. And they're like, well, no, I lied. I went to the doctor. We talked about things, and it was like in December, right? And I'm like, I'm not going to do all this crap and then have to turn around and do it in January and pay my deductible all over again. And, you know, so I waited till January and went and got a CT scan done and a scope, and they found a tumor in my bladder. It was pretty good size. And that's what was bleeding from. Anyways, they scheduled that to take that out, and they took it out and tested it, and called me up and said it was cancer in my bladder. So then I met with specialists on that, and it was in my bladder, into my muscle. They didn't know where else it was going. And they told me I had a 5% chance I'll make it 1 to 5 years in that doctor's office. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? Yeah. You know? And in my mind, I'm like, well, this is why I'm divorced. This is why I'm alone. This is why I don't have kids, because I'm going to die. You know, I won't leave anyone behind. And
what was that feeling like?
It was scary, but I was almost okay with it. Yeah. You know, because I'm like, really, if I'm going to go, I'd rather go this way than leave the whole family behind. Sure. You know what I mean? And anyways, so I wasn't going to do chemo. I wasn't going to do anything. Because I said, if I really have this amount of time to live, like, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm not going to do chemo. And my sisters were all like, no, you have to try. You have to at least try. So we started chemo. I did chemo for, I want to say it was like 7 months. It was weekly chemo. I did like every Thursday and every other Friday for 8 hours a day. It was hell. It was terrible. But we did that, and then we did different tests, and the doctors were wanting to take all of my bladder, all of my prostate, everything that went along there. And I'm just like, that's not a way to live. Like, I don't want to live with a bag on my hip the rest of my life. Right. So basically I told them, I'm like, my quality of life is more important than my quantity of life at this point. So we met with different doctors, and I found one that was like, okay, well, I'll go in and test, and if it is on just one side of your bladder, we'll just take out half your bladder. He said, but if it's throughout, then we're taking the whole thing. So we went in there, and he tested, and it was mostly on my left side of my bladder. So he removed half my bladder and then into the muscle there, and had to relocate my ureter from my kidney into my bladder. Then he found it in bunch of lymph nodes. He took out 30 lymph nodes. Anyway, so did that surgery. And
were you optimistic during this time, or was it?
Like at times, like I was very much like, no matter what, I'm still getting up every morning. I'm feeding my horses. I'm taking care of the animals. I'm doing as much work as I can do. Like, there was times when I had a job going on in Heber, I remember. And I drove up there. This was just when I was doing chemo, and I had to stop and pull over and like take a nap, and because I couldn't make the drive to Heber because I was just so exhausted. Yeah. Then I got up there and slept on the floor for an hour and a half before I could even drive back. So there was times where I'm like, when I felt good, I was pretty optimistic and was like, okay, I got this, right? But then other times, and living alone at the time, it's hard because you have nothing but time to think, and your mind goes crazy, and you're like, I'm just doing this to appease my family, and I'm still going to die. And, so it was hard. It was hard mindset to get around. Them telling me I probably couldn't have kids anymore. Yeah. After that. I did go to the sperm bank for my 33rd birthday. Whoopty.
Oh, really? Yeah. Make a deposit?
Yeah. So
did you have anyone to lean on during that time? I mean, you said you're close with your sister.
My sisters, my parents, I talked with them, but I don't like to burden people. So like I held a lot in, and I just handled it myself. I had neighbors that were like, we'll come feed for you. I'm like, no, that gets me out of the house. I need to do that. Yeah. And it did. Like, that's what I feel like ultimately saved me is my animals, because I went out and I talked to them. I went out and, my horses know more things about me than anyone, I think, in this world.
Do you think they listened?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They react. Yeah. Like, it's pretty wild. I remember one time where I get out there and I sit down on the ground, and I'm sitting there. My horse comes up and just puts his head right here on my shoulder and doesn't like rub on me, doesn't do it, just sits there. And I just reach up and I'm petting on him and talking to him, and he just sat there. So it's, yeah, I do believe they do listen. So.
Well, I'll tell you, not to go off topic, we'll come back, but I rode a horse. I've rode a horse a couple of times, right? I'm not that much of a city slicker, but my friend, I went up at his ranch up in Royal Washington, right? And we go horse riding. I was like, sure, man, whatever. And I knew that about horses, that they can sense you, right? They can sense your feelings and stuff. And so I'm up there, and, they're kind of putting all the saddles on. I'm like, hey, which one of these horses is mine? He goes, oh, that one over there. He's older, he'll go really easy on you.
Yeah.
And I remember walking up to him and just petting the shit out of him, right? And just be like, hey, man, like I'm a little nervous.
Right.
I'm just like whispering in the horse's ear.
Right.
I'm like, I'll be cool. I'll just ride you real gentle. You just take me wherever you want to go.
Right.
I bet I talked to that horse for 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Just whispering in his ear. And honestly, I got on the horse.
Equine therapy is huge for people and kids and autistic kids and handicaps and people in general, because they sync up with your heartbeat. They can sync up with your heartbeat from 4 feet away.
Really?
Yeah.
I believe
it. They know you're nervous before you're even there experiencing it, right?
Yeah.
So I grew up with them, so I've always been around them, but they've always been a special place, right?
Have you always felt that connection?
Oh yeah. Yeah. My whole life. Like I don't remember the first time I got on a horse. So I was little, tiny. Yeah. And I started, training horses and whatnot when I was teenagers. And I remember telling my grandpa, I'm like, I just want to ride a broke horse. Like I'm sick and tired of just riding these horses and fighting them, all day long, trying to get them to do what I want. And he looked at me and said, I'd never put you on a horse I knew you couldn't handle. And that gave me so much confidence, you know what I mean? To know that I can handle this, and he trusts me that I can handle it. And making a 1,200 pound animal I don't say do what you want, but do what you want when you want him to do it. Because he can do it. You don't train a horse to do anything that he can't do. Like he can do everything. It's just doing it when you want him to do it. So, which is pretty neat. But yeah, so I don't know. They got a special place in my life. I'll probably never live without them. So
yeah, and you we'll have to come back to that in a minute though. But so you're going through all this cancer by yourself, and
yeah,
your animals are kind of your therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Not kind of, I guess your animals are your therapy.
100%. Yeah. So like when I was going through chemo, I made sure like Wednesdays I felt good enough to go for a ride. So I had a buddy that he'd call me up and we'd go for a ride, go up the canyon or something on Wednesdays, because I felt good enough to get out that day and go, because I knew Thursday I'd go into chemo and feel like shit again. So
how many days did it take to feel good again after chemo?
Till like Wednesday.
Yeah, that bad. Right?
Yeah. You don't feel too bad like the day of, and just because they pump you so full of fluids.
All right.
But yeah, when you get out of that and you get home, and it's terrible. Yeah. You just feel like you're on fire, and
you throw up a lot?
Hot, and towards the end. Yeah.
My mom went through cancer at late or probably mid-20s, and she just remembers throwing up a lot.
Yeah. I got blood clots in my arms. I got blood clots in my legs from it. So that was no fun. Yeah. Blood clots are terrible. So anyways, yeah. I had a buddy that actually died from a blood clot 2 years ago, which he found out he had cancer and started chemo, and 2 weeks later he had a blood clot and killed him. So that's
terrible.
Yeah, it is terrible.
So how long did you have cancer for before you went into remission?
So I went through so they told me in January, and then I did chemo for 7 months, and then we waited I think 3 months, and then did surgery after that. Yeah. And then after surgery, they said I was in remission. They couldn't find any cancer after that, and so it's been 7 years, almost 8 years.
Did you go through that point where you didn't believe that you're in remission, you still might pass away, or did you?
Yeah. So I went to the doctor every 3 months.
Yeah.
And got a scope, and then every 6 months went and got a CT scan. And I think during every time I'd go, I'd be anxious. I'd be worried that they're going to find something. And it would always put that in the back of my head that it could come back, right? So fast forward to marrying April and having her be married to someone that died of cancer. I'm bringing all this baggage on her, I felt like, right? And she just told me, she's like, it's not your choice, it's my choice. And I remember going to the doctor, and she came with me, and not thinking that was the last place she saw her husband alive. And then I'm going in to get checked to see if we're still good, right? And I'm sitting in there, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Like every time I come, I sit there and think that it's going to come back, or it could come back, or, and afterwards I went to her, I'm like, I'm not going to the doctor anymore. She said, why? Because I'm like, I don't even want the thought of it coming back in my mind. And the only time I think about it coming back is when I'm sitting there in the doctor, so she's like, that's your choice. And so I haven't been back to the doctor for, I think, 1.5 years.
Oh, wow.
So I told her I'm not going to go because I get more, I believe in, like energy work, but like claiming what you know what I mean? What am I trying to say? Like,
yeah, almost like
calling it out. Like, yeah, I feel like if I manifesting, right? Yeah. Like if I'm manifesting that it's going to come back, it's going to come back. But if I just
forget about it
and live life, then it's not going to come back because I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. It's such a funny thing, cancer, right? Like,
oh yeah.
Man, I mean, there's a girl that worked for me, really pretty girl, you know, she was a little bit old. Well, sorry. She worked for my dad. I worked with her back when she worked with us. I didn't own the company at the time. She's about 3 years older than us.
Yeah.
Right? So she ends up getting married in her late 20s, goes off, and she has 2 kids. She has her second kid like in October. Right?
Yeah.
And in November, she's like really sick. Right? Just feels sick, feels like garbage. She goes to the doctor, right? They do a CT scan. She has brain cancer, right?
Yeah.
She was gone in like 2 weeks.
It's like crazy.
Gone. And I remember her funeral and just getting the feedback on it. And I'm like, this is so crazy. Like she was literally 4 weeks before that, totally normal.
Yeah.
Boom. Gone.
It's wild.
Then you hear people are like, I actually have a nephew who's had cancer twice. You know, he had Ewing sarcoma in his leg, had to get an amputation. Ended up getting lung cancer because of radiation.
Right.
You know, he was 10 that time. And I think he was about 14 when he had the lung cancer. And
and the crap they put you through, like chemo, they basically kill everything in you and then try to rebuild you. Right. Like it's hell. Like it's straight up poison.
Yeah.
But I hear stuff like that, the radiation that causes other issues, and it's hard because it's like, if you don't do something, then you're for sure dead. Right. Yeah. But even if you do something, there's still a chance it could do something else to you.
Yeah, massive ramifications.
Yeah.
How do you, when you look back on it now, like, what do you think about the cancer? Is it more like a dream you had kind of thing, or is it like still an imminent thing that might happen? Or
you know what? It's something that I look back on and I think I'm glad I went through it.
Yeah.
Because I think it made me trust in God more. And it made me appreciate life more. But it's funny, after that, I'm like, okay, God, you saved me, right? For what? What, like, you got something planned for me or what? You know what I mean? Yeah. And for a long time, I had a hard time because I felt like I was just doing the same thing day in, day out, day in, day out. Like nothing's different. Like, why did you save me? And then, Kaz, my wife's late husband, I knew him. I went to high school with him, and, hearing about him dying and leaving 3 girls and a wife behind, I was pissed. I was pissed. I'm like, God, why didn't you take me and leave someone like this that left family behind, Yeah. And then my buddy 2 years ago that passed away, he left 4 daughters and a wife behind. Again, I was pissed. And I'm like, and I just wondered, like, why, what's my purpose, And when I met my wife and her 3 girls, our 3 girls, I knew why I was still here. And I knew my purpose was to raise these girls as my own and teach them what, everything I can. Yeah. And I think it was a eye-opening experience, and that was the first time, in years that I actually felt like, okay, this is why I'm still here. Because for years I didn't know why. I didn't know why God saved me.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I love about you, like one of the first things I learned about you, right, is you married a widow.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the way to put it, because I was going to say take on 3 girls, but that's not what it is. You are stepping up and being their father and like a full family unit.
Right.
Even though, I mean, that comes with some challenges, obviously, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I think I told you this, but I'll reiterate it here on the podcast. Right? I have a friend that his wife passed away of cancer, and he just married a girl 2 years ago, and her husband. Oh yeah, you know these people. Yeah,
we were at the wedding.
Yeah, that's right. We were at the same wedding. Mm-hmm. I remember thinking it was funny because Rich was kind of dating a couple chicks or whatever, right? And he's like, "Oh, it's freaking hell out here, bro. There's crazy this, crazy that, X this, X that."
For sure.
And then these two, they ended up, Rich and Sally, they ended up, both kind of being widower and widower, and a widow and widower. And I think it just worked out so much better because they were able to.
They understand each other better.
Yeah.
I think.
And they're also able to honor
the other
spouse, which is, it's very interesting for me to watch, because at first you'd be like, oh, well, you kind of want to, get together, then you're like, no, you got to. I mean, what does Sally have? 5 kids, right? Sally's got 5 kids, Rich has 3. I mean, they have 8 freaking kids together.
Right,
and it's
for sure.
There's 8 children whose father and mother are gone.
Right.
And then
so all the kids have their things they're dealing with, for sure.
And it's got to be somewhat of a pressure cooker sometime, but at least you don't have to send your kids off every other weekend.
Absolutely. That is a huge thing, that they are with us all the time, right? It's funny because April tells a story that our youngest, or I guess she's not our youngest now, but Afton, she's 7 now. When she was turning 5, she's like, all I want for my birthday is a new dad. And she told this to April, and April was just like, I'm barely starting to date, right? And she's like, you better talk to your dad and Jesus about that one, because that's out of my control. Anyways, we started dating, and I was there on her 5th birthday. So I mean, she manifested that, you know what I mean? And her and all 3 of them. But the day I asked the girls, when I wanted to propose, I asked the girls if I could marry their mom. And I remember the day I proposed, everyone was with us. We went on a horse ride, and I was up to the top of the mountain, and I proposed. And Emery, the middle one, she's like, does this mean I can call you dad now? She was so excited to call me dad, which I told them, like, they will always have their dad. But I will be your dad here, right? Yeah. And April's she's been great about telling them, like, when I get married again, like, we're not going to do stepdad, stepkids. Like, we're going to be family. Like, this is your dad, these are your kids. We're going to be one family, and that's it. And that's how it's been. Like, she lets me parent and screw up. And, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
I have a hard time believing you screw up.
Oh, man. I feel like I screw up every day.
You did step into a landmine with 3 girls, though, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I do. I feel like I screw up every day because I forget that they're little, and I forget that they didn't grow up the way they're living right now. Yeah. And they've learned so much. They're great at chores, and most kids, they don't know what chores are until you come to my house, Yeah. And they all have their chores they go out and do and whatnot, but they've grown in so much. So it's been good. But like when someone asked me, I'd have 3 daughters, they're not my stepkids. They're not April's daughters. They're mine.
How do you build a individual relationship with each one of them?
We try to go on like personal dates. Like we try to take each one on a date. I try to go, and then April goes, and I'm with the other ones. And so we kind of try to do that weekly or bi-weekly, just to connect with each one individually. Because it's funny, like Afton, the youngest, like she's almost lived with me as long as she lived with her dad. Yeah. You know, she's 7, she'll be 8, you know, she was 3 when he died, you know, so.
Does she remember him?
She says she does, but I don't know if she just remembers stories that they tell about him and pictures and stuff. So, I don't think she remembers a lot. Yeah. Which is hard. And I think that's helped us too, like going into this, because I knew him as a friend in high school. And so they can talk about him, and that's not threatening to me, you know what I mean? And I think other people, if they were to marry a widow and not know them and hear stories and hear how much they loved each other or whatever, it would be hard. Yeah. It would test your relationship and how much your spouse loves you, you know what I mean? Because you're like, well, they don't love me as much as they love them. You know what I mean? But I know that she loved him, and I know that she loves me just as much, you know?
Does that create any insecurities with you? Knowing that you came second, I guess, or however you want to phrase it?
Maybe a little bit, yeah. but I'm going to have more time with her, yeah. I think, than they had. So,
well, I think too,
I think it will just grow and.
Yeah. And some people have an interesting view on marriage, right? It's like you're one, right? Yeah. And really you're not.
You're not.
You're two individuals that choose each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And I think, you know, when you're grateful, when you see the beauty in life, you know, it's like you're present, right?
For sure.
You're present right now, you and April, she chooses you now. And,
you know,
and it's not that she wanted that to happen or anything, but like, you know, you get to build this beautiful life. And I mean, it'd be actually kind of interesting to interview her too, because she's got to have some immense gratitude for you to step up and, you know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Provide safety for her and protection.
Yeah. And
yeah. You guys ever talk about that stuff?
Not really. Okay. No. Like, I don't know. Maybe we have, right? Maybe we have. But when we were dating, I'm just like, you know, why are you choosing me? Like, I had cancer, you know, and that's when she's like, it's not your choice, you know. I'm like, all right, well, and I told her, I'm like, I will treat your girls like my own, you know, and, you know, when I'm in something, I'm in something. And, you know, it's definitely, we're two different people for sure. There's lots of times where I'm ornery as hell and she's like, you need to go for a horse ride, because she knows that's my like therapy and I can chill out or whatnot. So, you know, and we're still learning. Like, we'll be married 3 years in November, and we're still learning. We're still trying to figure things out. I'm still trying to figure out how to parent. You know, we had a miracle last year and had a son, which I didn't think I could have, and here he is. So,
so when she told you she was pregnant, was that a complete surprise?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Like, she told me she was taking out her IUD or whatever and getting off birth control or whatever it was. And, you know, I'm like, okay. But in the back of my mind, I didn't think I could have kids. So I'm like, okay, whatever, you know, like, because I always wanted to have my own kids, but when that time came when they told me that I probably couldn't, I had to be okay with not having kids, right? Like, so I always dated girls with kids, you know, thinking, well, they'll be my kids. So when it came down to, like, she's like, do you want to have kids? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I can. Yeah. And I'm 40 years old at the time. I'm like, I'm getting old, you know, having kids right now. Like, I'm barely trying to figure out how to handle the 3 kids that we got now. And anyways, so she's like, well, we're just going to not prevent and see what happens. And we're laying there in bed one morning and she's like, I'm having your baby. And I'm like, what? I was just shocked.
Yeah.
Because I honestly didn't think I was able to have kids. I didn't think it was going to happen for me. Yeah. So.
How good did that feel?
Pretty great. Yeah, pretty great.
And the thing is, wow. So the first time we met, was in St. George, right?
No, I was at Moab.
Oh, were you in Moab too? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. That's the second time I've done that.
Yeah, that's right.
But I remember you talking about your son, right? Yeah. Because was it Bear Lake that, what month was he born?
So he was born in November.
Yeah, November, okay.
So Bear Lake, he just came home from the hospital.
Right.
Because he was born 2.5 months early.
Right.
We got
little guy, right?
Life flighted. He was 3 pounds. Yeah. She had preeclampsia. Got life flighted up to IMC. Was in there for a week and had the baby at 3 pounds at 28 weeks. So he spent almost 2.5 months in the NICU up there, and
that's why I remember Bear Lake. I remember being very happy that
he just got home, and then we went to Bear Lake. Everyone's like, "Why are you here if you just got home?" I'm like, "Because I can't do anything anyways." Right. Like, he's home, he's healthy. Like, she's feeding him. Like,
plus, we had a cold plunge up there.
That's right. We had to do a cold plunge and a fire walk. So, anyways,
that's awesome.
Yeah, and I think it's brought our family together more too, because the girls have a brother. Since day one, they're like, okay, because April always said that she was going to have, well, she always said twin boys, but luckily we didn't have twins. But so as soon as we got married, the girls were like, okay, where's our baby brother? Where's our baby brother? And when we went to find out what he was, she looked at me, she's like, what if it's a girl? You know, because there is a chance it's going to be another girl, you know, and then you're going to have 4 girls.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I looked at her, I'm like, it's not, it's a boy. And she's like, but have you wrapped your head around if it is a girl? And I'm like, no, because it's a boy. Sure as shit, it's a boy.
Yeah.
So I was pretty stoked about that.
That's way cool.
Yeah.
And obviously the girls are just loving on him.
Oh, yeah. The girls love him.
Be a pampered little prince, that guy.
Carry him all over the place. Yeah.
You have to look at him in the eye a couple times, but this is for your own good, dude. You're getting too pampered up there. Yeah.
You got to learn how to walk still, because,
Yeah, you can't just put your hands in the air everywhere.
Carried everywhere.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So life is good then?
Life is good. Yeah. Life is, it has its struggles, but it's good. Yeah. Learning and growing lots.
A lot of emotions in your house, right? 3 girls, 4 girls, and
for sure.
You and your little guy.
Yeah.
So tell me, why did you join the We Are the They group?
So I went to the Bahamas with them last year, before the group 2 started. Swam with sharks. My buddy Jed was in the group 1, and he's like, you know, I'm getting a lot out of this. You know, you should go. And just some of the connection I made down there was just being around guys that wanted to better themselves. Yeah. I haven't had that. I was just always focused on me and what I'm doing. And, you know, I really didn't have, I had friendships, but nothing like bettering yourself. Right. And I felt like I had been so stagnant for so long. I had to do something to change me.
Yeah.
And just focus on me for a minute and try to better myself. And I was trying to figure out how to be a dad, and I didn't know how to be a dad. So why not be around a bunch of men that are great dads that I can learn from and grow from.
It's not a bad plan, actually.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's why a lot of questions I have is about being a dad. Yeah. And if I'm doing this wrong or parenting this wrong, you know, doing it wrong. So
it's just a little disappointing when everyone else goes, I don't know.
We don't know what we're doing either.
We're all in the same boat. Just welcome to
it. You're supposed to know what you're doing, so I can figure out what you're doing and copy it. But
no, it's been fun, man. It's been the men's group. I don't know. We just did our last call, you know, a couple of days ago, and it was like, what have you guys learned? How far have you come? And what have you got out of this program? dude, the only thing that comes to my mind every single time is just the relationships.
Right.
Just all these great guys we're hanging out with.
Right.
Have access to now, and
I feel like
have
I
access
could
to
call
you.
so many different guys, and yeah. And I had a lot of people call me and be like, where can I help you with the rodeo? You know, and I didn't want to use their help because I wanted them to enjoy it and not work it. Right. So I appreciated that. Like, it was huge that, you know, even when they didn't know how they could help or what even to do, like, they still asked.
Yeah. It's funny, man. I bet I asked Bracken 8 or 9 times if I can come help him, you know.
Yeah.
I always say, like, hey, I can tell people what to do, dude. I'm one of the best guys at that, you know.
Right.
Or I can pick up some heavy shit and move it if you want. Whatever you want, you know. And he's
Right.
like, oh, we got it, Mark. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That was an impressive thing.
Yeah.
At Fan Fest.
He put on a show. I mean, just walking in and seeing all the people in every different place, you know, just the manpower that takes to run that is huge. Wow. And to get that many people to help for just that amount of time, you know what I mean? Like, which
and people love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They absolutely love it. I had friends, you know, they're outside of our group, and they're like, I didn't know you're going to Country Fan Fest. I go every single year, you know.
Really?
I'm freaking addicted to this thing. And I'm like, oh, okay.
It's cool. You know? It's way cool.
You know, I'm not as hip on the country scene as I used to be. But we actually went on Wednesday night.
Oh, with
me, Josh Sherwood, Nick, and Matt Beret, right?
Yeah.
And it's because Josh is a massive fan of
Sawyer Brown.
And
they're great.
He's like, you heard of him? And I'm like,
I should have went out to that night.
It was kind of funny, actually. Yeah. Well, we get up there, you know, he's 69 years old.
Right.
He's up there boot scooting and you know, doing his whole thing. And I'm like, Josh, like, you recognize any of these songs? I'm like, no.
Not
one of them. But
Holy
like, they're
cow.
good.
Yeah.
You know, like it was, I think it's one of the things with country music too. Like, I mean, there's some greats. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Garth Brooks, right? Like, right. Second to none, right? But really, most country live music's good.
Yeah.
You know, like
they can just really just a guitar and a good voice, and they can sing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of other genres of music, they rely on the technical part of their voices or the music or this, like different things to make them sound
good.
Or
like overproduced sometimes.
Right. When country music, a lot of it is just a guitar and a good voice, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
That you can sing around a campfire and have fun doing it.
Have you been to Nashville?
I have not.
Oh, you gotta do Nashville.
Yeah.
I've done it a few times. I haven't done it right yet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that out there. My friend who actually hooked my wife and I up on our first date, he's a hunter, right? And he would take all these guys hunting all over the country, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like Josh. And he's friends with like 15 songwriters out in Nashville.
Right.
And so he always tells me, he goes, Mark, whenever you want to go to Nashville, dude, like we'll go crazy. Like these guys are legends. They go into places and play and like
right.
go get the VIP treatment everywhere we go. And we were going to go in April, and I keep on kicking it back because, you know, we're so freaking busy. And I'm like, man, I got to pull the trigger on this thing because it'd be so much fun. And he's had times where they've got 3 or 4 of them go hunting with him, and they'll just sit around a campfire and just sing.
Really?
And just collaborate.
That's cool.
See, and I'm actually really into music.
Are you?
I love the creation of its side.
Yeah.
You know, like, can you imagine just how cool it would be to be in the studio when one of those like legacy hits gets recorded, or even like messed with and tweaked, and then they finally get the final recording. Like it'd be like, dude, I was in the freaking room when this guy sang this song, or like Mariah Carey, or like even Whitney Houston, right? Belts out.
Yeah.
You know, I'll always love you for the first time. You blow your mind.
In my next life, I hope I can sing.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to sing. So
yeah, I don't have that gift either.
Yeah. No. And it's funny because my dad sings and plays the guitar.
Oh, really?
He was in a band for years. Yeah. And even in his older age, he sang at all these different restaurants around town and did that, and it's fun to go watch. And he sang a lot
makes
of
life good,
Eagles stuff and oldies stuff.
Oh yeah, love the Eagles. It's fun though, right? Because it just makes life good.
Yeah.
You know, the arts, music, and the arts.
For sure.
We all work really hard. It's good to enjoy it sometimes. And
for sure.
Do you ever listen to music when you ride your horse, or is it always just?
Not usually when I ride. No, but just the sounds of the animal and the nature. But I do listen to music a lot.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So who's the first friend you made down in Moab?
First friend I made, Matt Payne.
Nice.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
Probably because he rode with me out there.
Well, there you go. Yeah,
and we had the time to talk.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think. And then I knew Matt Vierick, too.
Oh, did you?
He went to... Did he go to the Bahamas?
He probably did.
I think he did. Yeah, he went to the Bahamas with us. So I met him there and then found out he was going.
It's funny. There's not one guy I wouldn't say about this, but I hear these names and I'm like, yeah, those are good dudes.
Oh, for sure.
It's like any guy in our group, you're like, hey, this guy. I'm like, oh, he's a great dude. Trust me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Matt Vierick. He's actually both of those guys I love. They're both great dudes.
Yeah.
Say it again. But
they really are.
Yeah, Matt Vierick is he's a very genuine, great guy.
Every guy in the group has something to offer.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
it kind of is like an equalizer, right?
Yeah, and everyone's so different.
Yeah.
I feel like too, in a lot of ways. Maybe I feel more different than others because a lot have other commons, right?
You're just the best dressed one.
Yeah. Something like that. I'm just who I am.
That's a joke I cracked one time.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, dude, Kade, man, he always looks sharp, man. Yeah. Shirt tucked in, pressed, ready to rock, best dressed guy.
It's funny. April this morning, she woke up, she's like, guess what? You get to beat Kade Johnson today, Nice. And I'm like, thanks. I needed that,
Yeah.
So
should be good today. It's a Thursday.
Yeah, hopefully it's good. So
I like that. I like that kind of theme that's kind of pushing through the men's group, right?
Yeah.
You get to be you today.
Right, for sure.
Yeah, I feel that way too.
And it's funny, for years, like when I was single before April, like I didn't give a shit what people thought of me. Like I had finally knew who I was, and and this is who I am. If you like me, great. If not, screw off, And I was very confident that way. And then it's funny, like being in this men's group, it's kind of made me feel like I hope they like me.
Yeah.
Like I've almost cared more than I ever have, because before I'm like, I don't care if you don't like me, But now I meet all these guys and they're such good guys. I'm like, I hope they like me. And I tend to care more than I ever did before. But in
what's your conclusion on
that? I think they like me.
Oh, you should say I know.
And April's like, just keep being you, and and they'll like you.
I've learned in my life, the more you are,
for sure,
the better people like you. Even the shit parts.
Right.
There's shit parts to me.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've seen them in our group yet, but they'll come out eventually,
they'll come out, huh?
But no, I mean, I say this all the time. It's like I want 100% authentically you.
Yeah.
Right? Because give it to me, because there's just so much honesty in that.
Well, because at the end of the day, that's always going to come back.
Yeah.
The true you is always going to show up at some point. Yeah. Nobody can fake it forever.
Yeah. And how exhausting, right?
Yeah, for sure.
If you really want to have a good friendship with someone, you need to be authentically.
Oh, 100%.
Another thing too, you got to trust people.
Yeah.
There's, I think at this point in our men's group, right, if some guy goes off the freaking rails and was like, I mean, even fist fighting someone in our group, like it would be wildly out of place, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But I think most of us would be like, what is your deal? Go take a break.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then as soon as that dude was over his bullshit, we just bring him right back.
Call him out on it. Yeah.
What are you doing?
What's your problem? Yeah.
It wouldn't be like, I'll cast him off. It'd be like, no, dude, we don't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's true. I think majority of people would call someone out on something if they did something,
Hopefully we can continue to do this our whole lives.
Yeah.
It's good to have some friends that care about you that will.
Oh, for sure. Everyone needs that. Yeah. 100%. I need to be called out all the time, if really. So yeah, it's true. But
so tell me, Kade, what's the most important thing to you?
What's the most important thing to me? Probably my family.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think wanting them to be happy and enjoy life, I almost stress about it too much, where it's not fun and I don't make things happy because I'm worried about the stupid stuff. And that's things I'm working on. It's things I'm trying to, I used to always say to April, I'm like, don't sweat the small stuff. And I do sweat the small stuff a lot. And I'm just like, I need to live by my words, and
I kind of feel that same way with my wife. I tell her not to sweat the small stuff, but that's only half the sentence to me. It's always like, because I will.
Yeah.
Like, let me do it.
Yeah.
Enjoy your life.
That's true.
You feel that way too?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
There's no point of us both
because
sweating.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no point of both of us sweating it because I do. I worry more than she does. Yeah. But I just want them. I want them to just enjoy our life because I feel like the way they're being raised is a whole lot different than most people right now. And I want it to be different and I want it to be special. I want my girls to see the difference between, kids that they start dating future-wise, like hard worker and, in integrity and loyal and someone that, stands by their word versus a lot of kids that don't, And I feel like that country life is very much that way. Like you learn to work hard and do things right and you respect your elders. And, I just think it's a great way to raise kids and let them grow up that way.
You can tell with your girls for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really can. I mean, I've been around them. I saw my country fan fest for a quick sec and at the bounce house or the trampoline park.
Yeah.
Whatever you call those things, So
Yeah.
I've been around them a few times and I'm just like, I'm super observant. Right?
Yeah.
Like I really pay attention to a lot of things. I actually pay attention to people's face a lot.
Yeah.
People talk with their face a lot.
Right.
And I don't know, every time I see your girls and even April, you can definitely tell who their mom is, right? And
100%.
kind of the energy that flows out of her.
Yeah.
I don't know, they seem very happy.
Yeah.
And they've had obviously some tragic shit happen.
100%.
But it's, you can tell between both of you, really. I shouldn't give all the credit to April, you guys' energy coming down through your kids.
Well, I hope.
You can see it.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. So
what's the next big thing the kid's getting up to?
Oh, man. We're still hoping for this dude ranch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just feel like it's our next step. And
Any progress on that?
No, but I'm still trying.
Yeah.
I just like April said, she's like, you know what? Why does God put these big dreams in our minds and in our hearts if they can't be realities, right? Yeah. So somehow I got to make them a reality, and that's what I'm just trying to figure out.
Have you sat down and put a plan out?
No.
Let's do it.
Yeah. But
you can manifest that.
Yeah. Well, and just even after seeing this rodeo this weekend and seeing how just happy and excited people are to do something they don't normally get to do, right?
Yeah.
Like, same situation. Like, people come and have good food and, stay in nice cabins or whatever we end up having and go on trail rides and learn, connect with a horse maybe, that whole week or whatever. And then at the end, do a little rodeo, when they feel more confident on, loping their horse around, doing a barrel race or whatever, and I think just the highlight of them being like, see how much I progressed from day 1 to day 4, right? Like day 1, I didn't know how to ride a horse. Day 4, I'm loping around these barrels, right? And I feel like it's such a confidence builder. I mean, even these guys that rode these bulls, right? Such a confidence builder. They climbed on an 1,800-pound animal and rode it for 2 seconds, some 4 seconds, but they did it, right? And that's a huge confidence builder, You know, so I think anything to do with that stuff is just a huge confidence builder. And I'm like, if I can, first of all, teach my girls 100% to have confidence, because that's lacking in these days, right?
Absolutely.
And knowing that they can do hard things and whatnot, and teaching other people that don't get that experience to come out and ride and learn. And, you know, even if they don't want to ride, they can go on hikes, they can go fly fishing, they can do other activities, you know. April does yoga, so they could do yoga in the mornings and whatnot. So, I mean, there's so many different things that we could do, and retreats, and I just think it's so, I feel like it would be so rewarding.
Yeah.
It'll be a way of life and just be rewarding, you know.
Kind of fun, right? I remember you brought that up in a mastermind one time.
Yeah. You thought I was crazy.
You remember my first question, right?
You're like, sounds
really
like
want
a
to
lot
do
of
this
work.
shit? Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of work.
I've seen a lot of people, they almost feel like they have to have a dream, so then they come up with one.
For sure.
And then it's big, and then you're like, and I'm like, you know, because to do your dude ranch, I mean, you're talking, there's a ton of work.
Oh,
like a ton of work and a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so, and I wanted to give you good advice, right? That's one of the things I try and bring good advice. And I just remember being like,
I was so
you
excited
really want
you
to do
were
this?
in that group because I wanted your opinion.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, when I asked you and then you answered, I was like, oh, he does. Absolutely. I believed it 100%. I was like, oh yeah, this is his thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I built houses for years, and it was great for a long time.
Yeah.
But I don't love it anymore.
Right.
I don't. Yeah. And I'm just, I want to do, and I bring my work home a lot with me. Yeah. And I don't want to do that anymore. Yeah. I just want to live where I'm working, do what I'm doing, just living life and making a living doing it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Instead of going to work and doing it that way. Yeah. Like, I want my family next to me all day long to do what we do. So yeah, that's my dream.
I love it. I got one final question for you.
What do we got?
What's your best 2 minutes of advice?
Oh boy, 2 minutes of advice. Cowboy up. If you get knocked down, if you fall off, you got to crawl back on. Because you'll never learn if you don't. You know, training horses, if you come off a horse, you have to get back on, or that horse is going to regress tenfold. Or if you end on a bad note, even training a horse, you're going backwards. You always have to end on a good note. You always have to end on like 3 times of it doing what you want it to do. That way in his mind, it's like, oh, this is what he wants me to do. And I think in life, like, people get knocked down 3 times, and 3rd time they just give up and do something else. Yeah. And you have to get back up and keep going, because it may take that 3rd time or that 4th time where you finally realize what you're going through, or, you know, how to get over that fence at that time. But I think I know that's a cliche saying, or it's like cowboy up, and people say it all the time, but it really means something to me, where it's like, no, for real, like, you need cowboy up, like, get on and keep going, because there's no other option. You know, you can sit still. You can't really go backwards, really. I mean, you have to move forward, so you might as well move forward in a good way. Yeah. So
I love what you said. There's no other way.
Right.
Yeah, that is life.
Life moves forward, so you might as well go with it, right? Yeah. And I like that saying that Kelly talked about when her dad rode bulls, right? And I'm like, it's so true. You can't power that bull. You can't make that bull go where you want it to go when you climb on it. Like, you have to ride the motion of the bull and just ride it, go where it goes, and do the best you can do. Yeah. So
thank you for coming on the podcast.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Yeah. Goes by fast.
No, thanks for coming on and sharing your story. And
I appreciate it.
Everyone would benefit by knowing you and knowing your story and knowing your character. So,
well, I hope so. Yeah. Hope it will help somebody along the way. So,
we'll see. Yeah. Please still enjoy it.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the President McCormack Podcast, brought to you by McCormack Foundation, Saxton Fund, ADP Lemco, and Professional Floor Systems. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and keep up with Mark on Instagram @President McCormack.